Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and my guest today is Cara Seekings. We're going to be talking about ditching the midwinter blues, right? Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
Always my pleasure.
Okay.
Gail. Always my pleasure.
You're wearing one of my favorite colors today.
Well, this is part of ditching the midwinter blues. It's not even midwinter yet.
It's wearing purple.
It is. Yes, yes, it is.
Yes. So, anyways, before we get started, and this is something you can do if you have the midwinter blues, is you can take your Christmas cards and make them into little miniature gift boxes that you can give your Christmas presents in next year. So, Cara,
so pretty.
I remember the last time you were on, we were talking about stress-free gift giving, and I happened to mention that I made these little boxes out of used greeting cards, and today I brought in a basket full of them to show, because you said to bring them in so that you could see them. And, just since I got here this morning, 4 of them have disappeared. There's a young girl named Emerald that helps Doc Hamill with his show. She took the 2 she found in there with that had pictures of dogs on it. Dogs and cat pictures are very popular. People love the ones that I make with dogs and cats. But here's one I've discovered the last couple of years is very, very popular, is the
as you know, Gail,
ones with pictures of cardinals on it. So, Cara, tell the viewing audience why people are attracted to the ones with cardinals on them.
When you see a cardinal, a loved one is touching in from heaven.
Really?
That's what we believe, or what I believe. When a cardinal appears, that's your loved one, just giving you reassurance that they're with you, and they're the next dimension over. So cardinals are incredibly popular.
They're not as far away as we think they are.
No, we think of it as next door, just in a different dimension.
Just that we can't see that they're still with us.
And there's a beautiful one right here, Gail, that has a great tree on the outside, and then the magic star. Now, again, of course, a lot of people find the magic star as the guidance to whatever their spiritual belief is. I see the magic star as something with unlimited potential. Whatever you wish, whatever you work for, is contained in our friend the magic star. So I love that one. And then, of course, I love these message ones.
Joy. Here's one that says believe.
That's very cool too. Here, I can do it two-handed. Now, the joy one, we believe, or I believe, should be part of your life every day.
Oh, of course.
One of the questions we always should ask ourselves is, where's the joy in this? So the joy one would serve. Actually, I would love to get this one as a gift because I would leave it sit on my mantle year round.
Well, it's going home with you today.
Oh, fabulous, because it just is such a positive reinforcer.
Yeah, I was going to give you some of them anyways.
There also is a beautiful, please hold up Peace on Earth right there. I can see it here on the side. It's blue.
This one?
Yep.
Oh, it has a little angel on it.
An angel complete with star in hair.
Oh.
And across the top of that beautiful box it says, or across the side, it says Peace on Earth.
Yeah.
There's an old joke about that, Gail.
Oh, is there?
If the 3 wise men had been 3 wise women, they would have cleaned the stable. They would have asked directions, so it wouldn't have taken 3 days. But they would have cleaned the stable, they would have made dinner, they would have, of course, delivered the Christ child. And there would be peace on earth today.
Well, there's a good plug for us women.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean we don't need the gentleman either, because actually,
We do need the gentleman.
yeah, and
yeah.
I have found that peace does not work one-sided.
No.
Peace has to be something you declare it, and then they go out and declare it with two more, and then two more declare it with two more.
Mm-hmm.
So peace is a collective effort, doesn't exclude anyone.
And I've always said that the joyful way that people feel, especially you see it in children, but the joyful way that people feel at the time of the holidays is how we should feel all year long.
And it's unfortunate that those of us who live here go straight from the joy of the holidays into the dreaded midwinter of Western New York. I have lived here many years, Gail, and you think I would have acclimated. And it's not like I was born in Florida. I'm actually a Jersey child, so I'm not unfamiliar with a little snow, but I have quite honestly never seen snow like here in Western New York.
Anywhere else?
No. Our snow is special snow. Of course, it's hard to remember that when you're struggling through up to your knees, above your boots, in a drift.
And then the snow gets down in your boots,
and then drifts,
and then your socks get all wet.
And there you're stuck all day, sloshy socks, cold feet, and wet boots. Because the inside doesn't dry out till you get your foot out of it.
Right. That's what causes stinky feet.
Among other things.
Yeah.
And I worry, though, in this weather, honestly, for folks who have some either neuropathic changes in their feet and legs.
Oh, yeah.
Or perhaps have lost sensory input. I worry that, I will frequently say, I'm a nurse, and I will frequently say to people, when you take your boots off and your socks, please check your feet.
Oh.
Just because if 8 hours from now you find white skin on your foot.
Oh yeah, frostbite.
It's late. We need to have it treated immediately. So if your feet get cold and wet, please, the minute you have the opportunity, get your shoes off, your socks off, check your feet for discoloration, whitened skin, for reddened areas, so that you get them treated immediately.
Right.
That would be such a horrifying thing.
Right.
Many people who lose a digit, even a toe, have difficulty balancing and standing upright.
And people that are diabetic don't even need to get their feet wet and cold.
No, they should check every night routinely.
Right.
And my other diabetic tip, it's always good to lotion your feet. But don't lotion between your toes.
Because that makes too much moisture and you can develop
great place for bacteria
foot and stuff like that.
Great place for all of that to happen. So we advise that while you lotion your feet, make sure you dry well between your toes and don't lotion there. Right. So I came today because I know many of us, now I don't want to diagnose anybody as having seasonal affective disorder.
No.
Many of us do because we end up in, 10 hours of sunlight at best, and mostly we're not out in it for that length of time. But this is the time of the year when the midwinter blues really set in for people. We're more isolated, we're more likely to snuggle in with a good book, we're less active. All of those things affect how we, number one, process stress, secondly, how we feel about us, and thirdly, how we relate to our world in general. And it's very scary to me. I mean, it is, because the tips I brought today are things you already know. But we forget. And when we're feeling kind of yakko, and you know, and those are the times when nothing really goes well either. I mean, no matter what you touch, it turns to gravy in your hands, and so that doesn't help either. But most of us don't want to run right off and get medication,
Right.
because that isn't necessarily the solution to someone who has depression. It may well be, but the midwinter blues are pretty common among us. And so when we talk about things, and the very first thing, you're going to laugh about this, I just had said to Gail and Chuck that I am a house pet in the winter. Or Gail and Jeff, actually, yes. I am a house pet, okay? Number one, way to beat the blues, get exercise.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Now, I hate to sweat, number one. Let's start with that. And then I'm, of course, terrified of falling, like most of us.
Okay.
But the simplest means to beat those winter blues is to force yourself to exercise. Stay active. Now that could be, I have a home Tai Chi program, a chair program. It could be any number of things, but really the easiest and least expensive way is to bundle up.
And get outside.
Put those ice cleats on the bottom of your shoes or boots if you're afraid, and walk. Even if it's a half a block and back. Get out, shake it off, get some blood flowing, and try to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm like, even on the coldest below 0 days, it's like I feel like I don't feel all that good physically unless I get outside and get 15 minutes.
And you're a snowshoer, right?
Right, right.
So now that's another activity. I just, oddly enough, on the way here, heard a commercial for group snowshoeing tours.
Oh, yeah.
That you can rent the snowshoes for $20. The trail pass is $10. What a great activity for a group. Whether it's family or friends or girls' day out or whatever, what a great activity.
Well, if you live out in the woods like I do, it's less expensive to actually fully buy your pair of snowshoes, and then you can just sort of take off and go for a walk in the woods anytime you want to.
And now you have large acreage.
Yes.
And I live in a village that my house occupies the lot. But I also live in a village that has a old growth virgin forest. And so there are lots of places to strap your snowshoes on. We also often see cross-country
skis, yeah.
folks and tracks from folks cross-country skiing in our area. And anything that gets you out, build a snowman with your kids or grandkids. Get out, breathe in and out. You know, dress warmly enough. We don't want you out there shivering and shaking.
That's one of the things you need for good health is to inhale fresh air every day.
Absolutely. The other thing it does on this exercise business, it also makes your environment brighter. Now that's one of the things I talk a lot about because some of us really can't get out and do it. So perhaps then you want a light box that you turn on for 15 minutes and expose yourself to more light.
It only takes 15 minutes.
15 minutes. You can do it up to 30 minutes, but some people have some sensitivity because of medication. So you're going to want to check with your pharmacist. The other thing, open those blinds and curtains during the day when the sun is shining in.
It'll help warm up your house.
And plant yourself in it. Think of yourself as something that needs this. Trim back trees that overhang your windows. That's a safety issue anyway, but so they're not occluding your sunlight. Sit closer to the window. We want you to get all the sun stimulation you can. Even if what you're able to do is go out and get your mail, take your time. Get as much sun exposure as you can while you're out there. Now, you know, delicate Irish skin, I'm an SPF person, even if I'm doing 15 minutes. But I also take medication which says that I should protect.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I also know, and you're absolutely right, Gail, we need exposure to fresh air and sunshine. We need it. I feel like old stale bread if I don't get regular exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I check to see that I haven't turned green or anything. One of the other things we think about a lot, and you and I were talking about it earlier, you need to mind your mind.
Oh, yes.
Mind your mind. Practices like yoga, Tai Chi,
right.
mindfulness. These can be powerful blues busters. They can help you keep in motion. They can help you, and there are chair yoga exercises for folks who cannot.
We did that earlier back during the fall. I had a yoga teacher from Warren, Pennsylvania, on Fresh Perspectives, and that was what we showed how to do, was chair yoga. You know, for people who aren't really able to do full-blown yoga, where you get up and down from the floor and so forth. And so that's what we did. And that was, well, you know, that was part of the reason, but another part of the reason is the way the studio's set up. Like, we have to be fastened to these microphones that are on cords that have to be plugged in somewhere, and they're not really all that long. So we figured chair yoga was the best thing to do.
And it is fun. I took a chair yoga class and really enjoyed it because I wasn't trying to leap up gazelle-like from the floor. Those days are over for me. Another thing. Meditation. And,
oh, yeah.
you know, I'm always nagging about that when I'm here. The simplest meditation in the world. Light a candle. And if you live somewhere where you can't burn an actual candle, use one of the ones that you snip on the bottom and it's battery operated.
Oh, okay.
Because what I really want you to do is be able to look at the flame. Keep your eyes open, watch that flame. Just it'll flicker and dance, and if it's an actual candle, watch the dancers in the flames.
Oh, yeah.
And even the flickering ones do a nice rhythm. So watch that. Give yourself just 5 minutes of flame watching.
Yeah.
It's a great meditation. It's great for emptying your mind. I often use it too, very honestly, if I feel my voice starting to raise.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about your voice raising on previous episodes.
Yeah, it's time for me to shush. The minute my voice goes up, zipping my lip is a good thing.
Yeah.
So that gives me 5 minutes to zip my lip and get my emotions under control and decide whether I'm really knee-jerking or whether there's really something I need to address and how might be the best way to address it. Losing your temper is not a way to fight the midwinter blues.
No, it isn't.
Ever.
Especially, it might make it worse. It might turn a friend into an enemy or something.
Or you have to apologize to half the world. You know, and that's not comfortable either.
Yeah, we don't want to do it on Fresh Perspectives, do we?
No. The other thing we often suggest is that folks practice relaxation techniques. And these can be as simple as 4 square breathing, which we've talked about before. You inhale to the count of 4. You hold it to the count of 4. You exhale to the count of 4.
Yeah, for those of us that practice yoga, we do something called alternate nostril breathing, where you close off one nostril at a time and inhale through the other, and then switch nostrils and exhale through the opposite one. We did that when we did the yoga episode on television, and but anyways, that has a real balancing effect on the entire body and emotions and everything. And one time I read somewhere that you should, people who have a tendency to get angry really easily should do that breathing exercise for 10 minutes every day.
Well, and we tell in Foursquare, we say to you, you do the 4 steps 4 times each. And so it's actually, this is Dr. Andrew Weil's Foursquare technique.
Oh, I see.
And I have found it to be a great relaxation technique because you have to count in your head. It takes you out of whatever's going on. And, you know, if I can get a brief pause, I'm in much better shape.
Oh, yeah.
Diet, diet, diet. Now, I'm not suggesting you reduce your calorie intake or your food intake. What I'm suggesting is that you eat more complex carbohydrates and less high sugar, less high fat, less simple carbohydrate structure so that you actually get more nutrition. When we feel blue, we tend to seek out things like candy and ice cream.
Chocolate, usually. Yeah, some people, when their boyfriend breaks up with them, they'll go get a quart of ice cream and eat the whole thing.
And a spoon. Yep.
And eat the whole thing. But one thing I should say is when you get to eating more whole foods, and eating a better diet, you will notice that it affects how you feel both physically and emotionally. Now, I have a history of anxiety disorder, and I can remember being so terribly nervous that, I just couldn't calm down one time. I was so anxious and nervous, and I couldn't tell you why right now. I don't remember that much about it, but somebody who had just gotten a new blender was playing around with somebody whose house I was visiting, and they were playing around with their this new blender they'd gotten, making different juices out of different vegetables and things. And they were making celery juice and asked me if I wanted a glass, and I said sure. And so they gave me a glass of this freshly made celery juice, no other ingredients, just raw celery, freshly juiced. I drank that glass of celery juice down right away quickly. Half an hour later, I was perfectly relaxed. It was amazing. I mean, it was so profound, the change in the way that I felt, that I knew it had to be that celery, that freshly juiced celery had to be what had done it. And I know this is going to sound odd because it's not really considered necessarily one of the tastiest things you can eat, but to this day I think of celery as one of my favorite foods.
Well, and I would tell you, Gail, that doesn't sound so odd because we have a community with a large number of Amish folks. And celery is commonly served at Amish weddings.
Oh, is it really?
It's a vegetable of celebration. When you see an Amish household with a large crop, probably they have a daughter getting married.
Oh.
So celery really is very nutritious.
I didn't know that you could grow celery around.
Oh, apparently, because I see it happening, yeah.
So usually if you see where they've got a lot of celery growing, that they probably have a daughter that's going to get married.
Yeah, that we suspect is courting, and in the next season her banns will be published and they'll be married. But celery is commonly on the table at an Amish wedding, commonly. And usually it's creamed, which is not my favorite way to have celery.
No.
But still, it's actually very tasty, just not my desire. Now, turn on the tunes.
Music.
There was a study in 2013 that listening to upbeat or cheery music significantly improves your mood.
I think it might give you energy too, because I know when my husband is working on chores at home, he always has upbeat music playing when he's doing chores around home. So I'm thinking he must get energy from it.
I'm a real fan of Celtic Women, the musical group Celtic Women.
Right.
And if I really want to motivate myself, particularly if it's something I'm not dying to do, you know, the things you want to do are easy to motivate, but I will put on either a Celtic Women album or anything from Motown.
Okay.
When I hear Motown, I can't help but jive in my seat. So yeah. So I need to then use that energy for something else that's productive. But turn on those tunes, turn them on. I have a friend who sings Christmas carols no matter the season.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because they perk her up, they brighten her day. Personally, I laugh at it. Somehow Silent Night doesn't feel like a day brightener to me. But to her, any of them really suit the bill. And she sings along. And of course, the nice thing about doing that in private, because I can't carry a tune in a bucket, nobody has to hear you but you, which is good by me. We also suggest, and this does not come from the tour industry. This is a reference from Psychology Today.
Oh, okay.
If you're feeling the midwinter blues, plan a vacation. You don't actually have to take it.
Oh, you don't actually have to go on a trip.
Nope. Now, you can if you're in the financial state and have the time to do that. But plan a vacation to somewhere bright and sunny. See yourself on that beach if you like the beach, or marking new trails through the woods, or anything that makes you feel good in the sunlight, in the, again, I have another friend who always envisions a vacation with soft rain.
Oh.
Because she's someone who really likes the smell.
And the sound. Yeah, rain has its own smell. It's a smell like no other.
Personally, I think it smells like fall, and I like fall. So that's, but other people get different sensations from it. But for her, it's cleansing. So whatever else has gone down before that, it rinses away in this vacation she's planning.
Oh.
And I think that's kind of a cool image, and so I liked that one.
Well, they say that you get like negative ions that are good for you from rain or being near a stream or a pond or whatever.
I often suggest if you're somewhere where the water is moving, like there's
like
a
the
jacuzzi tub even in the winter, or the stream, take your shoes off, drip your feet in. One of the nice things, of course, living on Casadega Lake, I have access to the lake to stick my feet in. I don't do it in the winter, but in nice weather. And just imagine your worries and issues floating away through your feet.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I remember, for some reason, reading a book about witchcraft one time, and they said something about you could take a vinegar bottle and write down what it is that you want to have removed from your life and put it inside the bottle and throw it in a fast-moving body of water as a technique to make that problem or whatever problem go away.
Well, and I do another simple technique that I teach. I like, and I probably have said this to you before, the cheaper the ribbon, the better.
The cheaper the ribbon,
yes,
the better.
And I like it wide. And then I will write on it with a
on a ribbon,
on a with a Sharpie, and then I will take it outside, winter or summer, in my lot beside my house, and I will set fire to it.
Oh,
and once it's gone to the cosmos, doesn't belong to me anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah, I think I've heard of doing that also.
I trust in a spirit greater than me to take it over, and once I give it, I can't take it back. So that can be very helpful as well to folks. And sometimes when you have the blasé blues, you really don't know, there's not a specific reason. So in that time, I'll just write blues of unknown origin.
Oh.
And then I'll set fire to it, and up it goes, and I've given it away. I've just given it away. So that's another good thing. Now, I want to make sure today I talk about two other things. One is nature.
Okay.
Nothing is better. There's a whole growing scientific field called ecotherapy.
Uh-huh.
And it explores the positive effect of nature on human health. It turns out that hearing, smelling, and seeing nature, as opposed to urban environments, can lower your cortisol, thus of course reducing your stress. Cortisol is a hormone produced in the adrenal glands of the kidneys. Now, the other cool thing, and we're just coming to this in the Eastern world here, or the Western world.
The Western world.
From the Eastern world, it takes time for things to cross oceans.
Yeah.
There's a technique called forest bathing. Now that does not mean stripping out of your clothes and running naked as a blue jay through the forest.
I hope not.
No. In my case, small animals would run and hide within 5 miles. I can't even imagine it. But forest bathing has been used for decades. In Japan, for example, it's called Shinrin-yoku.
Shinrin-yoku.
It's sitting or standing or walking through the forest and allowing the forest to encompass you. I envision when I'm able to forest bathe, which of course I live in an old growth forest, so I'm very blessed, but I become a tree in that forest while I'm there. I usually, I happen to be very fond of Salix alba, which is the weeping willow.
Oh, I love the way they look.
I've never lived anywhere without a weeping willow tree. Never in my whole life. I see myself as a weeping willow tree. I provide shade, cover, but I'm no more important than any other tree in the forest. And I allow the forest to surround me, bathe me in comfort, in whatever I need. Sometimes I don't even know what I need. So I just open my, my supplication.
Right,
I open my hands in supplication and I say, give me what I need. And then I hush. There are a lot of people who prefer to forest bathe in groups. And by the way, I know a community locally who's going to offer forest bathing this summer.
Oh?
Lilydale.
Oh, really?
Yes, we're going to have forest bathing. But I'm a solitary bather. Or if I go with a friend, we separate in the forest.
Okay.
So that we're not inclined to chat back and forth or disturb the trees or whatever. So give yourself a chance. When you are practicing Shinrin-yoku, you are taking in the forest. You're opening your heart and you're allowing the forest to guide your trail.
Well, one thing that if people are really paying attention when they go for a long walk, there's a difference in the way it feels to be walking on bare ground than on pavement.
Absolutely. Pavement doesn't give.
No.
There is no heel to toe resistance or resilience.
Yeah.
I honestly, that texture, I who have balance issues, that texture makes me a little nervous. So what I do to combat that, I wear a pair of sneakers with really good soles, and I relax. And Betty Carpenter, who used to teach fall prevention for many years, teaches you to do bare toe. When we are afraid we're going to fall, we tend to get up on our toes.
Oh, okay.
So of course we're going to fall, because we've now misdirected our whole center of gravity. She teaches you to make bare toes, to spread your toes
Spread
in your
your
shoes
toes.
and put your heel down flat.
And that'll help to keep you from falling down.
That keeps you in balance. Sometimes I'll say to myself, press those toes down, because I feel myself starting to lift my heel.
Yeah, I know this little boy that we're friends with, and I remember one time we were visiting over to their house, and well, we'd had you know, a lot of snow, and then we'd had some thawing temperatures, but then it got below freezing again. So when we were over to their house, their yard was totally slippery. It was about all you could do to get from the car to their house and back. And his advice was, if you start to fall down, slide into it. That's what he said. If you start to fall down, slide into it.
And that was part of Betty Carpenter's advice, is much the same.
Was it really?
Yes, he's right. If you can let yourself fall,
You're
don't
less likely
put
to
your hands down,
don't put
because
your
you're going to
hand-
break your wrists.
just sort of let it happen and
Let
relax.
it happen. Let it go. And Betty didn't use the word slide into it, but she would make that motion.
Like a sliding,
upright.
like a sliding, and just let your body
Yes.
slide down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good advice for those of us who are a little foot skittish.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that makes such a difference to the midwinter blues, I think this always makes a difference, but help others.
Oh yes.
Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. If you're into cats, volunteer at a cat rescue or a shelter. Dogs, same thing. They're always looking for volunteers. If you want a little exercise, most shelters will allow you to walk dogs.
Oh yeah.
And they're
yeah.
delighted to have that happen.
Yeah.
How about serving at the soup kitchen?
Right.
Every bigger community I know has a soup kitchen, and they can always use help. I found it for several years at Christmas. I used to be vice president of Trooper Toys for Tots in Fredonia for 20
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And we always did a lot of Christmas volunteering, because that's what Christmas is about for us. And,
Is volunteering. Yeah.
And we often at the soup kitchen would cook with the people from the synagogue who would be there cooking on Christmas Day.
Oh.
We would give out gifts. We would do things that helped others.
Right.
I can't tell you how much soup I've ladled over the years. It makes me feel great. And plus, I like to think it's helpful to other people. The city mission in Buffalo is always looking for volunteer help. Any of our local homeless organizations often have needs for volunteers. I'm going to plug a favorite organization of mine.
Okay.
Here. Retired Senior Volunteer Program, RSVP. RSVP is active in Chautauqua County. People tend to think of it as an agency of the county. It is not. It is a self-sustaining agency who receives federal funding based on the units of service they give. So contact, and there's an RSVP office in Dunkirk, there's one in Jamestown. There are all kinds, I mean, some people can't be as physically active. Often not-for-profits are looking for someone who will sit down and stuff envelopes.
Oh yeah.
Or
yeah.
At Trooper, we used to have great retired men who would come in and repair toys. We would have women who would do all kinds of packaging and some toy repairs.
So the toys that get donated don't have to be new ones then?
Now, if you're donating to the branch of the Marine Corps Toys for Tots, I believe those have to be new ones.
Oh, do they?
But Trooper Toys for Tots that was in Fredonia was run by a New York State trooper. who started it many, many years ago, and who just died a couple of years ago.
Oh,
Jack
did he?
Miller, yeah. But so there are opportunities in your community. RSVP has endless opportunities. And like you say, for them, you're really getting double bang for your buck because you help them get funding and you provide a needed service. And there's skill level for everybody. Some RSVP folks who are homebound knit or crochet, and they make lap robes for nursing homes. They make scarves for kids.
Yeah, I was in Westfield one day before Christmas. The Thrifty Kitty over in Westfield has a separate Christmas store just during November and December. And they, somebody who has like an empty storefront that's sitting empty will let them use it for the 2 months. And it's quite often in a different location every year over in Westfield. But I was in there, and there was a whole row of knitted Christmas hats that somebody had literally made. There must have been 20 of them or so that somebody had knitted and donated to the Thrifty Kitty to be sold there in their Christmas store. To make money to support the cats in the shelter.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm a Thrifty Kitty mom. I have a kitty from Thrifty Kitty.
I have 2 kitties from Thrifty Kitty.
Oh, we're both Thrifty Kitty moms.
So.
My best came via one of the lovely volunteers who knew I already had 2 FIV cats. And said, we have this lovely FIV kitty. Are you at all interested?
Was that recently by any chance?
It was.
What is it, butterscotch?
No.
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 I know somebody adopted.
This was Clyde.
Clyde. I know that they had one in the Thrifty Kitty for a long time that had to be kept separate. And her name is Butterscotch. And this summer, somebody actually adopted her. So I was so happy that they found a home for Butterscotch.
Well, and I got Clyde in the fall.
This year?
And as I say, his name is now Bast. I realize that's a female cat goddess, but he's a god, so we'll just, he runs the house. But I had very specific needs because, as I say, I already have 2 FIV kitties. And none of the 3 of them have ever had a disease exacerbation.
Good.
So if people are hesitant about adopting an FIV cat, please don't be. We use lysine at our house, and it's purchased relatively inexpensively off eBay. We give them 1 treat of lysine a day, and they've never had exacerbations, any of them. And we've had Schrodinger since he was a kitten. And Lovey for a couple of years. So don't hesitate. Just please, we would ask not to bring an FIV kitty in with your healthy kitties.
Right. Only if what you already have is FIV. Yeah.
And we purposely took them because I've always done Bichon rescue with elderly in hospice Bichons. So now that I'm kind of at the end of my dog days, I said, well, I can't be animalless, so then it seems we've created a cat house.
Oh, yeah.
But we would, if it's okay to plug it, I would love to see people support Thrifty Kitty, and particularly their Christmas shop, which, do I know the name of the street? It's the one that comes from Mayville into Westfield and passes.
Okay, yeah, the Thrifty Kitty is right on Main Street in Westfield, which is Route 20. But Market Street is where the Christmas store is. Is this year. It's just a short little 1 block long street. It's the street that it's pretty much right next door to Calarco's restaurant on Market Street there.
So, I mean, that's great. I would hope, and again, often, If you don't want to volunteer through an organization like RSVP, fine. But often the shelters don't require you to be an RSVP volunteer, and it does so much good. There's also a program called Foster Grandparent, where volunteers are sent into schools as a foster grandparent.
Yeah, last year I interviewed somebody who's kind of one of the people that runs that.
And that's a great thing. Find something that interests you. The hospitals, many of them use volunteers for transport, etc. As my father, my esteemed dad, who's been gone for more than 20 years, would have said, blue, that's because all the blood has gone to your behind. And of course, he meant it as a definitely derogatory remark because you were sitting around doing nothing with yourself. So get out there and do that. Now, I just also happen to bring some other suggestions because human contact is a key part for each and every one of us in the human experience. Be social.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's even more vital if you're feeling down in the dumps.
Yeah.
Warm up, I like to think of it from the inside out.
Well, you know, you've probably heard of a woman named Peace Pilgrim.
I have.
And she was a lady that, as an adult, decided that she wanted to do something to promote peace in the world. So she spent her entire adult life pretty much walking back and forth across the country as a way to try to promote peace. She said that she would never quit wandering until mankind learned the way of peace. But anyway, I remember one of the things she used to tell people, like young people and like that, when she'd do talks, she would tell them, if you want to have friends, be friendly, was what she would say.
Absolutely.
That was a pretty profound comment. If you want to have friends, be friendly.
The Dalai Lama says...
Well, he was a fan of Peace Pilgrims.
If you want to be liked, give kindness. And if you want to like others, give more kindness. I think it's the same thing. I think that many times we isolate because the snow is too deep, it's too cold, it's too this, it's too that. So look at some things like, number one, join a book club. And my feeling is that literacy volunteers can always use help too. But join a book club. Schedule a coffee or tea date. Maybe with someone you don't know so well. You know, if you're active in your church and there's someone who might be a bit older or doesn't drive anymore,
provide transportation. Yeah.
Take them somewhere and then offer a coffee or tea. Host a potluck. Now, you of anybody I know are extremely familiar with that one.
Because that's one of my volunteer jobs. That and Fresh Perspectives are my volunteer jobs.
Gail is host of the Vegetarian Society, right? Do I have the name
Vegetarian Vegan Society of Chautauqua County, yes. And the vice president of the American Vegan Society is a part-time Fredonia area resident, so she's there about a third of the time and the rest of the time at the Vegan Society, which is based in New Jersey, for about 2/3 of the time. But she attends our dinner. She's been on this TV program a few times, in fact, and you never know when you come to those, you never know, she might show up. Well, sometime. She came to our November dinner.
We should also plug that there are a number of studies out there, Gail, that show non-carnivores as being less likely to be affected by the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those people who are dedicated meat eaters, bless you. I'm a vegetarian, but who are dedicated meat eaters, bless your heart. But they tend to have more lower digestive issues.
Oh, do they really?
Which
Yeah.
tend to keep them more isolated and more alone, and
Well,
et cetera.
well, that would stand to reason because meat is difficult to digest.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If it just is too nasty to venture out.
Which happens.
Yes, it does.
Because it would be dangerous if you did, like in a blizzard.
Plan a phone call to catch up
Yes, yes.
with someone you like, maybe someone you don't hardly know from your church or a community organization. Chat away.
I have a friend that actually is living in California right now, but she calls me once a month and we talk for 2 hours.
That's great.
All year long, not just in the winter.
That's great, but because how often, or at least in my case, how often have I said, boy, I wish I'd kept up better, constantly. I have friends from high school who are still part of my life. I have college friends. I've worked in a number of agencies over the years, and I want to know that those folks are okay and things are going well for them, and what's new and what new grandchild has happened. And so I try every month to make 2 phone calls to people that I haven't talked to regularly, just to do some catching up.
Not necessarily the same 2 every month.
No, 2 different people out of my phone list or my appointment book, just to say, hi, I want to catch up. How are you? What's new? And is this a good time? If not, let's schedule a time.
Okay.
And we do that.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
that's a cool thing for me. Now, going out to dinner for some people is out of their budget.
Right.
And that's okay. But many places, if you watch their specials, have specials so that you could go out to dinner with a friend. But the other fun thing to do is cook dinner together.
Oh, yeah.
On the phone, you plan dinner and
Yeah,
you talk
yeah.
about who's going to do what, and then you bring all the ingredients together and you spend the afternoon.
Yeah, like my husband, when the weather's nice, the rest of the year, he likes to be outside doing things like gardening and various different outdoor things. But in the winter, we quite often work together on recipes. So
Also, if you live, for example, in an apartment complex, and you can find a group who might be interested in board games or card games, that's a great social activity. Not if you play solitaire on the computer by yourself.
No.
But if you use your community room, and usually in a high rise or other complex, there is some kind of community gathering space. Make every Tuesday Board Game Tuesday, and everybody bring 1 game, and then you choose as a group. One of the other really healthy things to do, now if it's nice out, go out and window shop.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But if it's not nice out, pick a big box store
And actually go inside.
and window shop. When I do that for myself, I leave my wallet in the car.
Oh yes, because you would be
I'm window
you would be tempted.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah. You'd see something that you wanted.
I window shop. I lock my wallet in the glove compartment, and I know I'm not going in to spend money. Sometimes I'll even take a little notepad, although this sometimes makes stores a little nervous. But
Oh, you take a notepad in and it makes the people that work in the store nervous.
But I'll look at things that I think I might want, and I'll jot down what they are and some of the benefits they would bring to my life. And I find if I don't buy on impulse, I end up with a lot less clutter.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll take my notebook home and think, now, do I really want this? And is it worth the expenditure of this much money? I don't, even if it's $5, I mean, I have to decide that this is something I really want to do. And then I wait 3 weeks.
And
if-
you usually have decided you really don't need some of the things on the list.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I cross out.
Yeah.
And then if I go back and it's not there, it's okay. Because then it wasn't meant to be at this time.
Well, you know, I kind of like to go to consignment shops.
Oh, me too.
For clothes shopping. And I will, you know, go through and I'll start seeing things that I like, and I'll accumulate a pile of the things that I saw that I liked. And then I'll go through them and find reasons why I don't really shouldn't buy some of them. I take that pile and pick out the ones that I know that the ones that I like the best. You know, usually I can find some reason after I've gathered the pile of stuff together, some reason that I don't really, yes, I probably wouldn't get much use out of that, or...
I'm a collector of, now not a collector of to own, but to use. I do a lot of embellishment work on clothing for people, and I ribbon quilt and that kind of thing. So I'm always on the lookout for lovely hankies, for crocheted. Oh, I have some beautiful, exquisite doilies. Actually just got gifted with 2 boxes of them from a lady who lives in Westfield. And I'm so grateful to you, Carol, thank you. But she's a watcher of your show.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I will use them then. I just bought a boiled wool coat for myself when it got to the price that I would pay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to put 2 doily lengthy ones that you might have used on matching end tables down the front. And so I'm always on the lookout at consignment shops and Salvation Armies and Goodwills and things like that for those pieces. I also love old lace. And so I'm very geared to looking for those kinds of things. Unfortunately, Gail, when I accumulate my pile, I have a hard time talking myself out of most of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But clothes, I could do
yeah.
your system.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that.
Now, were there any other things, because we're down to 13 seconds.
One more thing. Get enough sleep, but not
Get
too much.
enough sleep, but not too much. Don't sleep for a full 12 hours out of every 24.
Most of us are 7 to 8 hour needers, and you can't make up what you missed. So,
I need 8 or 9.
Well, I'm pretty much an 8 hour sleeper. I'm good on 8.
If I come down with something and I'm not feeling real good, I need 10.
Oh, me too. Me too. If I'm not well, then it's more.
Yeah.
But we pretty much know our own sleep habits, so get enough, but not too much.
And try to have the getting up time and the going to bed time the same time
Establish a routine.
every day. Every day. Well, I thank you once again for gracing our presence on Press
love this show.
Perspectives. And I'll see the rest of you in the viewing audience on the next episode in a couple of weeks.
Bye.